Today, we say goodbye to a nation builder. OPM addresses the Prime Minister's quarantine fiasco, and police investigate yet another homicide here in the capital. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Friday, January 28th. Condolences pour in for veteran educator and pastor, Reverend Dr. Charles W. Saunders, who passed away today at the age of 91. Reverend Dr. Saunders served as pastor of Salem Baptist Church for a number of years, while also holding a number of educational posts. In this next report, our Laurencia Smith reflects on the legacy he leaves behind.
Both a school and a highway bear the name of the veteran educator and pastor Reverend Dr. Charles W. Saunders, who died on Friday. Reverend Saunders was a giant within the Baptist community. For 39 years, he served at the helm of the historic Salem Union Baptist Church. Under his tenure, a number of programs were started. While he was a pastor, he was also an educator. He served as a principal of several schools. The current pastor of Salem Union Baptist Church, Reverend Hugert Rolls, says, "Indeed, a great soldier has fallen today in the nation."
A pillar within the Baptist community. First of all, as a minister in the Salem Union Baptist Church, and as leader in the Bahamas Baptist Union, and as a member of the National Baptist community. So, with all that he has done, the legacy that he would have left behind, not only in physical buildings that he might have built and institutions, but he has left his mark, I believe, more importantly, indelibly in people.
Reverend Saunders served as the vice president of the National Baptist Convention. He was also the superintendent of the Bahamas Baptist Union of Churches. Senior pastor of Montabor, Bishop Neil C. Ellis, called Reverend Saunders his father in ministry, adding that he was honored when Reverend Saunders asked him to deliver a sermon at his retirement.
Dr. Saunders married my wife and I. He ordained me to the sacred gospel ministry. He allowed me to serve in the Baptist Convention as his personal assistant for many years, and in the Bahamas Baptist Union. And then he commissioned his church 35 years ago, inducted me as its pastor. When we built a building, he was the one to dedicate the building. And when we rededicated the building, he was on hand for that. When my wife and I celebrated our 25th anniversary of marriage, he did that renewal ceremony.
Reverend Saunders also served as a senior education officer at the Secondary Schools and Teachers College. He also had a hand in the establishment of the College of the Bahamas, now the University of the Bahamas. Bishop Ellis called his mentor a game changer.
I just believe Dr. Charles Saunders has left a legacy in this country with tremendous definition to the truth of the fact that your history does not always paint the correct picture of your destiny. Dr. Saunders came from very, 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 very humble beginnings in Morstown, Exuma, and he rose to the highest level here in our country. In education, he ascended to the point where now a school is named after him. The Baptist school named it after Charles W. Saunders, and I remember being a part of that decision-making process. A highway here in the city is named after Dr. Charles Saunders, but looked at where he started out from. And so if there's any message that I can send to the generation that is just coming up, that they can learn from the life of the legend, Dr. Charles Saunders, is simply this: it's not how you start out, it's how you finish.
He died at the age of 91. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
Thanks, Laurencia. The Office of the Prime Minister seeking to lay to rest the quarantine fiasco regarding Prime Minister Philip Davis breaking his COVID-19 quarantine back in December 2021. Press Secretary at OPM, Clint Watson, sternly giving what he calls the facts on that situation.
Here's what we're going to say on that, because I know this has been lingering, and I think we want to put this to rest, Kyle. Here's what it is. At no time did the Prime Minister, who was vaccinated, boosted, and had just tested negative 3 times in a row, represent a transmission risk to others, nor had he been ordered, I'll make it clear, nor had he been ordered into quarantine. He chose to quarantine. There's really nothing more to be said on this issue. Those are the facts.
During a memorial service for the murdered Leon Griffin, the husband of former cabinet minister Melanie Griffin, Prime Minister Davis admitted to breaking quarantine to pay for Christmas gifts at Leon Griffin's store, hours before Mr. Griffin was shot to death outside his home. Now, despite this admission, Minister of Health Dr. Michael Darville said that the Prime Minister was en route to quarantine when he went to pay a bill on December 23rd. This situation has caused quite an uproar, not only on social media, but with other politicians like former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands calling for the Prime Minister to resign, and Leader of the Opposition Michael Pintard urging Mr. Davis to publicly address the situation. The Prime Minister has declined to comment on the situation on numerous occasions when faced with questions from the press. According to the health rules passed by the Davis administration in 2021, breaking quarantine is an offense that carries a fine of $500. When asked if the Prime Minister will be paying a fine, Press Secretary Watson stated that, quote, "You can only pay a fine if you've been charged with something," and the Prime Minister has not been charged. A man is dead and a woman is in hospital with injuries after they were ambushed in a shooting last night on McQuay Street off Nassau Street. The male and female, whom police have confirmed were in a relationship, were riding a motorcycle when 2 males emerged from the bushes. The Criminal Investigation Department is now investigating the circumstances surrounding the latest murder in the country after officers were alerted to shots being fired in the area.
Our officers visited the scene here, and on their arrival, they found a male and female suffering from gunshot wounds. The emergency medical services visited the scene, and upon completion of their assessment of both victims, the male was pronounced lifeless, and the female was transported to the hospital. As we understand it at this moment, she's listed in stable condition. Our investigations reveal that the male and female were riders of a motorcycle traveling west along McQuay Street when 2 male suspects emerged from a bushy area, produced firearms, and shot both victims. One of the victims succumbed to their injuries, and the other is now in hospital.
That's Police Press Liaison Officer Superintendent Audley Peters, who told reporters that one of the victims was shot to the torso and the other to the buttocks. According to Superintendent Peters, with officers in the early stages of their investigation, they cannot say what the motive was behind this latest killing. Investigators also, at this moment, cannot say if the matter is gang-related. However, Superintendent Peters says it's a possibility that they have not ruled it out. He adds that it could possibly be retaliation as family members and close friends claim the victim was set up.
However, our officers are on the streets. What has to happen is individuals who are aware of persons brandishing firearms in their community. They see something, they must say something to the police. We act on information. We are at the service of the members of the public. And everyone, I've said before, is a police officer. They're not paid. We're the ones being paid to do this. We can't be everywhere at one time. We would like to, but we do have people who are everywhere at one time. They just simply have to take personal responsibility to, when they see something, say something. To say that we would beef up the area, that's a possibility. But is it a viable one at all times? No. We do have the people in the community to make a concerted effort to say something to their police department so that we can act.
Superintendent Peters noting to reporters that the injured victim and deceased are co-parents. The female victim is believed to be in her early 30s, while the deceased is believed to be in his 20s. Authorities have not released the identity of the deceased. However, JCN News sources say that the victim is a father of 2, and his name is Keith Sweeting. Investigations continue in this matter. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.